And finally I get through to him. It's Craig, hold on a minute. And I hear him talking to one of his partners. He's going, what the hell is that? What is that? What is that? And I hear him going, oh my God, Craig, I gotta go. You know, oh, Joey, what's going on? What's going on? He goes, oh my God, they're jumping out.
What's up, everybody? Today we got a serious one. We're going to be talking with my good friend Craig Gatto about his experience being in New York and being a ground zero worker after 9/11. Probably something that anybody who lived through will never forget in their life, especially someone who was there. First off, man, thanks, Craig, for doing this with me, man, and talking with me about this.
Always a pleasure, Mike. You're my brother, man. Yeah, this is one. Yeah, it's you know, it's obviously the subject is more serious. But as we, I guess, delve into this, you know, you'll see the what kind of this did to not me, just me. I mean, so many people I gather dealt with things a certain way, and you know, as you're going through this, and this was going on, you don't realize the effect it's taken on you, the things you're seeing daily and witnessing, and things what's going on in your home life, but yet you got all this devastation you're dealing with, you know, 14, 16 hours a day, let alone all the emotions that you go through of witnessing these things daily. And the devastation, and then realizing the friends that you've lost in this that didn't make it out, you know, whether they cops, firemen, construction workers, and I'll mention them, and we'll go through it. So, you know, whatever you want to discuss, I'm here. This is good for me in a way too. You know, I'm sure as I start to talk, like in anything I discuss about things that have gone on that I've been involved with in my life, the more you discuss things, you start to remember things. So I'm sure as we start to go through this today, I'll start to remember things that went on here.
Okay.
And they'll come back to me, and I'll talk about them.
Definitely, as it goes. I get that. That's how I am. Your mind refreshes as you do it. Well, let's start off with that morning, man. Tell me, like, when did you first have? You're there in New York. How far are you away from? How far are you away from the towers when it happened? And tell me that.
Absolutely. So at that time, Mike, I'm organizer for Local 78, District Council of Mason Tenders. Local 78 actually is the sister local to Local 79, which is the main union. But Local 78, you know, was for the labor's union, but it's strictly for hazardous waste. Asbestos removal, anything that's considered hazardous waste that laborers need to do, contractors wouldn't call Local 79 to send laborers there. They would call Local 78. My whole working career was with the Local 79, another local, but I'm just trying to tell you how it goes hand in hand. So as a brother, it's a local. We had a significant membership here in the city. So that day, my job was we were covering the mayor. They were running for mayor here in New York. So I'll never forget that morning, me and my partner, Johnny Rodriguez was my partner, this gentleman, John. We were meeting in Gold Street. That's where our office was. So we were meeting our union office. So Gold Street, Mike, I've never counted the blocks, but it's in downtown Manhattan. It's we're probably about, if I had to guess, we could look it up, 15 blocks from Church and Chambers Street, where the Twin Towers were. So that day we go into Gold Street, hooking up, and then we were shooting out to Mark Green, I believe was the gentleman that was running for mayor. We were heading to his headquarters because, you know, the union's very political. You get involved, the membership, you support one candidate or another. But this was a hot and heavy mayoral election for whatever reason, that election. So that was our role that day. So we pull out 8 o'clock in the morning, whatever it is, 8:30. I remember we had to be at that headquarters like 8:30. So we got there maybe a little earlier into the office, union headquarters. Meet up, get in the car. John is driving. I'm in the passenger seat. And we're going to head to Queens. That's where we had to go. Driving through Lower Manhattan. Now, where we're cutting through the low. I'm giving you all the details. I want to give them to you. We're cutting through the lower part of Manhattan, and we're going to go over what's called the Williamsburg Bridge, which takes you from Lower Manhattan, which is called the Lower East Side now, and we're going to shoot over to Queens, jump on the Brooklyn Queens Expressway, and then go where we're going to go. What happens is, Mike, I will say this. I want to say this because I've heard so many people say it. It was a beautiful day. It was a gorgeous day. You remember that. You remember that because of what happened, the event, so you remember every detail about that day. So this is a very crowded area. So we're sitting at a red light. I'll never forget it. We're sitting at a red light, a lot of cars, it's rush hour in the morning. Who's trying to get in Manhattan? Who's trying to get out of Manhattan? You know what I mean? So a lot of traffic, Mike, rush hour. Where we are sitting, we're on somewhere, and you might be able to use it. We're on a couple blocks before Delancey Street, it's called, and I think we're on Allen Street. So we could visually see the Williamsburg Bridge. We're within an eye shot now at a bridge that we're going to go over to get to Queens. We're at a red light, a lot of traffic, but you could see all the traffic coming in. We're so used to it, you're not really paying attention. But you can't ignore all the people walking, droves of people walking to go to work. Whether they get on a train to go to Uptown Manhattan, Midtown, we're all working in that part of Manhattan. Droves of people, the crossing guards, the cops, whoa, traffic, the whistles, all of that shit, but you're used to it. Well, I'm sitting in the passenger seat, I'll never forget it. And I grew up in Flushing near Chase Stadium where the Mets play. So we're always used to planes, Mikey. Whether you're a kid playing ball in the park, you're always used to planes making noise flying low. In my living room growing up in my building, it always as a kid and to this day, if I sit in my mother's house and I look out the window from one of the sitting chairs, I can look out the window. Sometimes at night you'll see a plane, you'll see the lights. It looks like they're coming right from the building and they turn and land in LaGuardia Airport. Well, I'm setting that up for a reason. So you don't really pay attention. You get used to the planes. But we're sitting at the light, seconds, right? Seconds go by. You're not really paying attention. Bullshitting a little bit. And this huge plane, Mike, I could say it like that now. I didn't say it out loud. I told John afterwards. This huge plane seems like, man, that thing is low. So for me to say in my head, damn, that thing is low, it was low. And Mike, within, I don't know, I'm going to say 5 seconds. So I don't know what it is in the air. I can tell you it's probably about a mile from the towers from where we were maybe. But it seemed like within seconds. All of a sudden, Mike, we're still at the light. We're just starting to roll, like it maybe just turned. And by the time the guy in the street is telling you go, 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 you already see like horror on the people's faces walking because they could look up and see it. I'll explain in a second. And we felt a rumble and a shake. What that was it was the first plane hitting the tower. So we felt it from where we were, which is a half mile, 3/4 of a mile from there. But we were downtown Manhattan, right? So I'm like, John, what the f is that? He goes, what the hell is that? But now you see people like screaming and looking in horror. So I look, we pull, everybody's pulled over now. Everybody's like, there ain't traffic moving. And here's my first reaction. I go, John, I think that plane hit the Pace building. Anybody knows New York City that knows that area, they'll know what I'm saying. Pace College has a building. And I was so like distorted. I'm like, not realizing it hit the tower, the Twin Towers. Right. I thought it hit, but then I realized, I go, nah, man, that's a tower. So within 2 minutes, whatever it was, everybody in horror, whatever, not understanding anything yet of what was hit. Is it the towers? How bad? Plane being low. And it was a huge plane, Mikey. It was a huge plane. It wasn't like one of them. That's why we would like get immediately in the car. I'm like, John, that was a big plane, man. That was a huge plane. That wasn't one of them little two-seaters. You know what I mean? Right. So by the time we get back in the car, I go, what are we doing? What do you want to do? We try to get on the phone to the president of the union. This guy Sal. Can't get through. Automatic right away. The systems are just about down. You know what I mean? It didn't take long before all cell service is off. I was able to make a call. I'll tell you about that in a second. By the time we get it back in the car, 2-3 minutes, Mikey, not even. Put on the radio. There's a station here. I don't know if it's all over. It's called 1010 Wins. You give us 22 minutes, we'll give you the world. That's what they'll always say. And it's just news all around our country and everywhere, all over the world. Within minutes, we're getting confirmation that a plane has struck the Twin Towers, and we're going, holy shit, this is crazy. I can't believe what's going on. Within minutes, you see coming over the Williamsburg Bridge now, coming to us, coming into Manhattan, rescue, SWAT, fire, every fire truck you could imagine is coming, ambulance, they're coming from all directions. He looks at me, I look at him, I go, let's get out of here, get out of the city. Let's get out of the city, see what's going on. Try to call our business agent, the president of the union. He tells us just head to Queens. We get through to him, head to Queens. So we don't know anything. We tell him what happened. He goes, what are you talking about? He didn't know nothing yet. We told him, yeah, this is what they're reporting. He goes, all right, you guys just head to Queens, get out. So we are able to get over the bridge. But as we're coming over the bridge, Mike, heading towards Queens, away from Manhattan, you come to realize that every fire truck that you saw coming over, first responders immediately, a lot of those guys, 95% of them didn't make it because they were the first ones on the scene that got into the building. You know what I mean? But anyway, and we'll get back to how I go back in and all of this. Get to Queens. We don't even get to Queens. We get halfway. Now you got to remember, try to understand this. It's a lot of people, a lot of cars. Crazy stuff is happening now. Nobody understands what's going on. So everything's moving real slow. Okay. We're kind of stuck on the bridge now, trying to get to Queens. We're about maybe halfway over the bridge, Mike. It's moving real slow. It's got to be a half hour goes by. I don't know the exact time. And we'll listen to everybody coming on the radio saying what they saw. We understand now it's the towers. We have a clear shot from where we are halfway over the bridge. I can look right out my window, visually see there's a huge hole in the building. All smoke coming out of the building. And from a distance, you can see what looks like papers and stuff flying everywhere. And you just see smoke, more smoke than flame, but a lot of heavy smoke. I realized now, oh man, and I think of my brother Joey's there. My brother Joey's in the building 140 West Street. I was with him for a couple of months on that site. My brother's a shop steward on that job. 140 West Street is the Verizon building. It was like directly across the street from the Twin Towers, directly. And my brother was on what was called a high-low. So he had guys pointing the brick. It's an old brick building, maybe 50 stories it was, that building, 40 stories, whatever, it's up. The guys were pointing the bricks. So my brother would go up in that high-low, might get a lift, you know what I mean? The lift. And, they're 20, 30 stories up. But my brother being a steward, he was a hands-on guy. He wanted to always be with the men. So he's on that. Plane hits the towers. My brother's up in the air. You know what I mean? It's that close. Mike, I can't get through to him. I can't get through. He's cool. I thought of right away. I finally get through. I go, Joe, you hear what's going on? He goes, Craig, I'm down here. Where are you? Tell him where I am. He goes, I'm trying. I don't think I'm going to be able to get out of here. I'm on the floor. I'm okay. I said, Joe, you got to get away. We didn't even know what was going on. He's like, yeah, I got guys here. It's chaos. He's trying to explain to me what's going on. I said, all right, whatever. We told, love you, whatever. I tell him I'm heading over the bridge. I don't, keep in touch, whatever. It's like that. We get maybe 3/4 of the way over the Williamsburg Bridge, and we're listening to a gentleman. I'm looking, and I finally I can't believe what I'm seeing. I'm sick already. I can't believe I get shocked. And somebody's on the radio talking to the host and saying, oh my God, another plane just hit the other building. John is driving. I go, did he? Yeah. I said, John, what? Because I'm looking now, I told you I could see the first building that's hit. I don't know, I forget if it was north or south now. And they're saying no, they hit the other building. But where we were at, I couldn't see because it came in, I believe, from the Jersey side. But you can see a lot more smoke now. So he guns it. Somehow we get over to Queensboro Bridge, the Williamsburg Bridge. We shoot to Queens. He says to me, "What do you want to do?" By this point, we realize we're not going to no mayor's election primary. We got a couple. I think we got a couple of calls before we got to where we were going to Queens. Not to that place. I told him take me home, whatever it was. I was going to go get my kids right out of school. Not understanding what the magnitude of anything yet, but between that and that maybe 35-minute ride we had, we were hearing that there was more planes up in the air already, and that there was already crazy shit going out there. There was planes up in the air, and they didn't know how many was accounted for and where they were headed. So immediately people are talking about not knowing who was this, what was behind it, but we just knew that 2 planes ain't hitting these buildings, right? So my thing was, get me to Queen, get me where I was going. I'm getting my daughter was home. My wife Catherine is 6 months pregnant with the young guy, and Vinny and Antonio are in 2nd grade, maybe 2nd, 3rd. 7 years old, whatever. Take me to the school. I'm taking them out of school right now before I do anything. Get into the school. There's some parents there. They get, well, what's the problem? They're not really. They know what's going on, but you know how to say, I'm trying to tell me they're in charge. Yeah, you're in charge, but not today. You're not in charge. Okay.
Yeah.
Come on, my sons.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, you're in charge, but not today. You're not.
Yeah.
Play. You could be in charge another day. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm getting them. Yeah, whatever.
Yeah, exactly. So get 2 of my boys, get them home. I know they're okay. My friend Johnny, he's making his calls, but cell phone service is going in and out. You can't, it was crazy, Mike. You gotta, you could imagine they shut everything down. Everything got blown away. Everything was destroyed. And I just remember that part. And then, I race home. I tell you, Catherine is 6 months pregnant with Junior, right? She's at my mom's house. Get upstairs. I got my partner John with me. We get to my mother's house, and we're in shock. We could hear a pin drop. My wife's hysterical. My wife's hysterical. And
I don't imagine, man. That's terrible.
Yeah, I'm like, it's gonna be all right, babe. Well, and then my friend John, my partner, sitting in my living room, he starts getting emotional, and it's more of because, well, I'll tell you what, my wife was, it was very upsetting to watch, and then to be here, and then she has a cousin in that building, she had a cousin in the building. And so I get my wife by herself in one of her rooms, one of her bedrooms. She's going through it a little bit. Going to the living room, my boy John is very emotional. And at that point, the first building starts to come down. So it was just like, so I'm witnessing this from the living room, this part of it. So I just told you for the morning, I'm there when it hits. In that period of time, I get to Queens.
You saw that first plane flying over.
Came right over our head. Came right over our head.
Oh, my gosh.
And within seconds, boom, shook the ground a half mile away, 3/4 of a mile away. Oh. And the horror on everybody's face coming over that bridge, you never forget. You never forget the trucks and everybody, And we'll get into it, So the towers come down. They come down. My partner leaves. By then we know, whatever it's on, whatever it is. I speak to my brother Joey, I think a couple more times. He's able to get his guys. They're able to get off their site. They're trying to make their way home now. My brother Joey says to me, "What are you doing?" I said, "Joe, going back in. We got to go in. Now they were calling for rescue workers and all of that, but we knew, you feel like I don't know if everybody, I gather most men felt this way, or even women, people felt this way. You needed to do something. And at this point, I didn't know it was about, I had friends there, you're trying to, that stuff is coming to you, like who's there and stuff like that. Does anybody we know down there? But really, your thing is, as a construction worker, they need us. We need to be there. You could have all the cops, firemen. It's not about separating the Army personnel. You could have all of that. You need us. You need crane operators. You need laborers. You need carpenters. You need everybody. You need everybody there. Plumbers. You need people. Right? These buildings were just long.
That's what I mean. That's a massive undertaking.
You got a disaster. It's a disaster that you can't even tell you how far it went. I'm going to try to explain. So it's by the time we figure some things out, they're making it very clear. Nobody come in past a certain area of Manhattan. It's all shut down. Army's there. Personnel's there. They got cops from all over the country already coming in. Army personnel, Navy, everybody, all our armed forces are working their way there. By the time we make up, I don't know how we came to this decision. We're going to go down as far as we can back into Manhattan. Be one of my brothers, Joe, and a couple of friends of mine, also construction workers. We're going to work our way. We're going to try to get into the city, which we do. We get to about, if I'm correct, I think we get to about 59th Street on the east side. Now, the towers are on the west side. So it's a distance just to get from the east side to the west side. So you got to go from, I'll just try to keep it for everybody. Don't want people to look it up. You're going from, say, 1st Avenue. The west side is 12th Avenue, West Street, but West Side Highway. But if anybody knows, you got from 1st to 5th, 1st to 3rd, and then it starts with Madison Park, Lexington, and whatever, Lexington, Madison Park. Then it starts to go numbers again, 5th, 6th, 7th, Broadway, and it starts to, so there's not just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, you know what I mean? It could take you, it's a long walk, Mike, to just walk from 1st Avenue to 12th, let alone go from where we were in the 50s. But they stop us. We can't go any further. They ask us what we're doing. We tell them we're construction workers. It was like they were just regular, I think, cops, plain clothes. What's up, guys? I said, listen, we're, construction workers, whatever. We got to get down there. We want to help. We're going down. All right, just got to leave it. Whatever, get down there, do what you got to do, but we can't let nobody go past here. That was for that night, which was cool. Let us through. We found whatever it was. We found the spot. By this time, Mike, I don't know, the sun was going down. And I got to tell you, so we're in September, the sun's going down. It had to be 5 o'clock. But I got to tell you, Mike, you still see people trying to make their way home. People, it was bad. People couldn't get home. You couldn't get out of the city. We start to make our way down. We're highly, adrenaline is crazy. You could imagine, right? So you're not thinking about how far or tired. No, see, we finally get down there. The time we get down there, this is at a time when we didn't have secured gates up and personnel checking IDs and stuff like that. It's the first day. It's the first night. This is fresh. It's just happened. I think there was a couple of Army guys that were kind of what would become ground zero, were like kind of man in that position. And we had nothing. We were walking right through. Now, with respect, obviously, we say what we are. We got our hard hats on. You can see with the boots on. We're workers at that time. And they're already, come on. Yeah. So that first night we get down there, as we get close, Mike, to the hole, ground zero, I can't even, some people would say to me, over the years, what do you remember the most? I got to tell you, what stood out immediately as you got closer and closer, and I'm talking about, it could be a quarter of a mile away at this point, and that's considered close, And Mikey, try to picture in your mind quarter mile in every direction, a square, maybe a half mile, I don't know. It looked like the worst snowstorm you could ever imagine, but the snow being dark gray because it was soot. It was just soot, like everything concrete pulverized, everything just pulverized into soot. And pictures, single shoes, people's stuff from their desk blown out the window, pictures of families that you knew was on somebody's desk. They ran, their shoes, they fell out of their shoes, got cut out of their shoes, whatever. And that just was the whole area. And nothing, the soot maybe went 3 inches, that's why I say storm. And Mike, you could hear I'm going to tell you, this probably went on for a couple of weeks down there this way. You could hear a pin drop, even though by this point there might have been thousands of workers and people down there, 100,000 helping. You could still hear a pin drop. It was like a ghost town. Anybody that was down there will know what I'm saying is accurate. I could have been next to somebody for 10 hours. We didn't say much. Could be my own brother, my friends, whatever. You just would look at each other every so often and go, how did this happen? How?
So a quarter of a mile or more away, there's debris and stuff.
People's Post-it notes, picture frames with, you could imagine, little teddy bears.
Yeah.
That's right, Mikey. And again, briefcases, shoes. The shoes just stayed in my mind, man, a long time. Yeah. Still, I'm talking about it now.
Right.
And it's not an exaggeration by any bit. It is.
Oh man.
And that stood out for some reason, And just think, it took a long time to concept this, but just think, you got two buildings, let's say 108, 112 stories. By the time you're done with the machine rooms or whatnot, they were higher than that. Antennas. So you got over 230 stories of buildings collapsed. How much asbestos, how much concrete, how many windows are pulverized? So what, office stuff, furniture, just think all that stuff compacted into dust. What are you going to have? And the way they came down and the smoke just went for how long, how far did that travel? I can tell you, a friend of mine, Joey T, great people, man. He got caught when those buildings were coming down. He was a laborer working on a job site down there. They started running. He's running, Mike. And that's it. He wakes up. He doesn't, he wakes up. And somebody's dragging him. The smoke is behind him. They're trying to outrun it. You probably saw videos of people running.
Yeah,
right?
Yeah.
And they're trying to outrun it. He runs full speed into a parking meter. Mikey, he runs full speed into a parking meter. Knocks himself unconscious. Full speed, Mike. You can't see because it was the dust overcame them. Back then they had the parking. He runs right into a parking meter. Knocks himself out cold. Somebody, thank God, dragged him that was running extra, dragged him into a deli or whatever they dragged him into. So when it all flew over them, he didn't get crushed or anything by anybody or any beam or anything. So yeah, that's the initial visual. And then, you're on the bucket brigade, the first night or two.
Well, how about, let me ask you this before we go to that. At what point do you hear, so we know the president gets told, he's told about what happened, and he was actually reading to some children, I believe, at a school. Yeah. And they came in and told him that. And I mean, at what point do you start hearing that stuff? That's early on.
Probably 3-4 hours ago. Yeah, early. I'm going to say by 1 o'clock in the afternoon, 12 o'clock, it was already.
So by then that that it was a terrorist.
Terrorist.
And everything. Okay.
Yeah, and we're hearing heavily that there's war planes in the air that they can't account for. Mm-hmm. Then we would find out one hit the Pentagon, one goes here, but they had thought after they all crashed and the devastation's done, there was a lot of stuff out there that there was more planes up that never reached their targets.
Right.
That were there. Now, we'll get into it. I'll tell you what some agents told us down there, because you'll see, we work hand in hand with a lot of people.
Right.
All of that stuff went out the window, whether it be with Army personnel, you're with air marshals, you're with feds, you're with ATF, they're with construction workers. We would drive in those little John Deere vehicles, the 4-wheelers, Mikey.
Yes.
Because that area is a big area to walk. So maybe we had to go to what's called Battery Park City. Come on, guys, jump in. Everybody's helping each other out. Maybe we're checking on
One
guys,
team
whatever.
at that point.
Yeah, everybody's one. Yeah, it's true. So you're hearing things every day, every minute of every day, especially the first month or so. And the stuff we heard from, people like about, they originally, again, maybe it was intended for they had a plane going to the Empire State Building. They were trying to hit downtown and midtown, and they wanted to get the Empire State Building out too, but something changed course there. We heard a lot of things, I'll get into some with people, what they originally told them to do. And they couldn't get them, rescue them. Crazy. So I'll tell you about some friends.
Yeah, man. Let's go from so the first day goes through. How long do you think you stayed down there working the first day?
I didn't come home. We didn't come home.
Y'all just
get down there. Yeah, we were there probably the first 3 days. We didn't come home. So I'll explain. Yeah. So we get down there. Now, I'm going to just say this, and this was, I'm just saying it. Everybody that got down there, and there was so many people, Mike, that I know personally that tried to get down there and couldn't, for whatever reason. We got lucky, fortunate, whatever you want to call it. We were able to get down there at the right time. Maybe we got the right people, and then after a while, then they were asking for any construction workers, please come down, whatever. But so everything you're volunteering. So the first night we get down there, everybody like in a line, and they're trying to it's a rescue mission at this point. There's people they believe still trapped and whatnot. So you're just trying to help any way you can. Maybe you're moving heavy rocks. Maybe you're trying to move construction debris by hand. You got cranes. They didn't know how to, everything was very delicate, Mike. They didn't know people are trapped. You can't just start getting machines in there and ripping. You know what I mean? A lot of stuff was done very delicately by hand if you could, right? So, long lines, 30, 40, 50 people, and you're just handing buckets, and they're just, everything's working in a chain. You know what I mean? And then, you get a pick or whatever you can do. So that went on for a couple of days, So quickly, though, what happened, I'll say this is very important, especially people that were never down there, didn't want them to understand this. Very quickly, I don't know how quickly, but very quickly, a lot of the major companies were sending stuff there. So what I mean is, you would come out of like working near the pit or whatever, you could have been that was nearby. And I'll get into the buildings what went on in these buildings and the freaking emergencies, the evacuations we had, days, weeks to follow, because they thought buildings were toppling on us as you work, and crazy stuff, Mike. Let's just say I'm going to use this Campbell Soup, right? Before too long, right away, Campbell Soup had tents set up, serving all the workers soup, food, McDonald's, you name it, they were there 24/7 with us, feeding us, clothing us, boots. You needed boots, jeans, a massage, a cot to sleep on. They had so many different areas and buildings set up for us, thousands of workers to rest. You worked in like, Mikey, you go get 3-4 hours, I got you. You know what I mean? And that's how you did it. Everybody helped each other. Go take a nap. Let's go get some rest. We have been up for 20, whatever it was, let's eat. Everybody ran down it. Before you know it, they're giving us soup, food, taco, whatever. Timberland boots. And I'm not trying to shout nobody. I just remember I needed.
That's a great
jeans. You got no jeans.
Right. Yeah.
Yes.
No, that's good to hear. Yeah. Yeah. And
then of course, sadly, months in, you're already months in here, and you're hearing, you're seeing guy with a table, 10 blocks away, selling boots, jeans, socks, underwear that they're giving us. You know what I mean? And he's, people are selling the shit. But that's human nature. But yeah, so this went on for a while. So yeah, everybody put a ton of time in there, volunteer, but there was these major companies were there, man, with tents and whatnot.
That's good to hear, man.
Feeding people.
They stepped up and
absolutely
came to give back and try to help.
Mike,
I mean,
I got to tell you, we're talking about this, man. I remember shortly in this, maybe we're a few days in, and I'm in what's called Battery Park City. It's across West Street, where the Twin Towers were on West Side Highway, West Street. You know, you can say Church and Chambers, but it looks like it's sitting right on what's called the West Side Highway, West Street. And across from that is what they call Battery Park City. So you got a whole slew of huge freaking buildings there, Mike. Everything is 80 stories, 100. So, you know, everything's huge. And it's right on the water. That gives you the New Jersey side of things. You can look across that water and see all of New Jersey. But you're in Manhattan. So we had to go over there. All those buildings are destroyed. I'll never forget, we're in the Amex building, American Express. We're in the lobby. I heard some crazy stories in that building, you know, as the towers were coming down. Planes came rolling up right over that. I'll never forget being in that lobby. And Mikey, but this was every building, but for some reason, this building, the lobby, you know, the escalator. Obviously, but you get to like the top of the escalator. Again, the soot and all that, and it wasn't just that. Jewelry stores, clothing stores, all the big Coach, Tiffany, whoever, wide open. Jewelry still hanging out, registers open. Anything you could think of, colognes, clothes, sneakers, boots, people, they just, the point I'm making is, if they made, people just ran for their lives. The panic. Yeah. They ran for their lives. They just
cleared out, I remember seeing the videos. I'm going to try to put some in here of people running and trying to outrun that dust, like you said, and people being pulled into buildings like that. Yeah, that type of stuff.
Stories. I heard
unbelievable, man. And
I'll get on it.
Like as the days start to go by, do you remember what day it was that the president came and visited? How long in was it?
I was right there. I will tell you this. I don't remember the exact day. It wasn't too long though. No, because I could see by looking at the debris, Mikey. Now I sent you a picture of me and my brother Joey.
Yes.
I don't have. Oh yeah, that's me and my brother Joey, and right behind us. This is close to the beginning. Well, I see we had ID on and stuff. So maybe we're a few weeks in here because they made us get IDs. We belong down there and whatnot. Behind us is what was called Building 7. Building 7 was part of the complex, the Twin Tower complex. I believe we're on Church Street here, I believe. You see the Church's Chambers, and anybody knows the area, they'll know, and they'll be like, wow, I can't believe that's that, if they weren't down there. And behind us is Building 7, which is pulverized, and I think what you're really looking at there is about 10 to 12 stories high of rubble. Now, on the other side of that rubble is, you know, another pit, another hole in the ground that, you gotta understand, Mike, a lot of these ground zero went 30 stories deep, Mikey. You know, I don't know the exact.
Is that right?
They were very deep, Mike. You know, you could imagine, you know, these foundations, these buildings, you can imagine how deep they were. Yeah, I think the towers had 4-story parking garage below, you know, and then the sub basements, you know, it was, you know, so all these buildings were built that way. They were deep. As high as you are up top, you got to be a certain amount of feet below. So, yeah, so that's here, and that's Building 7. And why I'm surprised we even took a picture, because I'm going to tell you something. I don't know. That must have been somebody must have said, wow, whatever. They took a picture. Because that was the last thing on your mind was taking pictures, you know.
Well, and it was different back then, Greg, because everybody didn't have the same type of cell phones with cameras. I mean, people had them, but not the same as today.
Yeah, it wasn't the same
like today. Absolutely. Not in 2001. No, it wasn't. So that really is an amazing thing that you have that picture like that.
I'll tell you. You see the building, it's over. It's actually, you can't see it. I forget what this was. This might have been, I don't know why I'm thinking it was a bank. But anyway, there was a building, like my left, I'm looking at it. It was like off to my right. It's not in the screen here, but like weeks later, we would be we would get a call that we had to go to that building. It was maybe, it's at the screen here, but it's maybe only like 200 feet from where we're standing. And on like the 18th floor of the setback on this roof, there was a setback. They found like 3 weeks later, like a leg, a femur. You know,
Is that right?
they found somebody.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about that too. I mean,
yeah, horrible.
How long were they finding?
Yeah, Mikey, I'm telling you, I was there solid. I didn't leave there for like September 11th. I had a situation, something different on December 6th. I was there for 2 months straight. Every day, crazy hours, every day, 7 days a week.
Let me ask you this. Mentally, the people around you, the people you saw, your brother, your friends, what did you notice any difference in the mentality, the morale? How did I mean, people starting to maybe get depressed or whatever?
Yeah. Yeah, I saw a bunch of guys that some would say they got it together, like with, maybe you thought you were somebody that was strong and you could hold your emotion in. Now you found me. I don't know if I was considered strong that way or not. Probably not, because I'm an emotional guy, good and bad. But I had moments by myself, man. It was tough. I had a hard time. And it built up, and it built up, and it built up. And months later, I would get in trouble for it.
Is that right?
Some time later, I got in trouble. Yeah, started to blame people.
Right.
I realized. Started to see certain groups of people and blame them, and want static. You're looking for static, and I'm not a young guy. I mean, I'm not a kid. I have 3 children, another one on the way, and I'm probably 35.
Yeah.
And but it's not no excuse, but you don't realize you spend so much time there, and you bring in all of this home, and 2 words. You don't realize that you're becoming a shell. You're not talking to anybody in the house, and everything you're talking about is that. That's all you're consumed with. Is that
consumed it? It's consumed you at this point because
all you're seeing. Not there. I gotta get back there. You feel guilty that you're not there. I got a day off. I don't feel right. I gotta get down there. What if I'm needed down there? It's in your head. It's no. And you start to become carefree with anything else, because you start to say to yourself, nothing's, in a bad way, nothing's guaranteed. So you know what, the way they did this to these people, and I lost friends, and I was bitter, I was angry. I had a lot of anger in me, and I was angry with other things to begin with, so it didn't help. That's just a fact. Just needed a place to blame something or somebody, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And that's not here or there, but yeah, it added up, and then you got a time bomb. And I'm just one person. Imagine, I'm one.
Right.
I'm sure I'm not the only person that's affected a little bit. And look to confront people that maybe had a certain look to them, maybe had an attitude, or you thought they're smirking and laughing about something. We all saw videos of what looked to be a terrorist type group laughing and joking and thinking it was funny. Now, maybe you were somebody that spent endless hours down there, brought this shit home to your pregnant wife every night, if you came home. Maybe you were somebody that lost 5 friends. Maybe you're thinking, it should have been me. I was supposed to be there. Whatever the case may be. So these things go through your head every day. 24 years later, the buildup starts every year. A few weeks before 9/11, and when it starts, I'll say maybe the first 8 to 10 years, it didn't leave me personally. I told consuming it. Then you get away from it. You try, and then it starts when they start with all the documentaries and stuff, and here we go again.
Yeah. Well, I'm going to tell you, Craig.
And you're reliving it.
You, in my opinion, you are one of the stronger guys I know mentally and everything else, and you're emotionally a good guy in a good way, in my opinion. You're a loyal type guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're just an all around good guy, in my opinion. One of the better people I've ever met, and I have noticed
Working
even last year, us talking about it around 9/11. I noticed as September started to come, me and you talked about it, and we didn't do a show last year about it. I don't know what happened,
No.
whether I was going out of town or what was something happened. I don't know, but this year, I remember the same thing as me and you started to talk. It popped up again, and we decided we had to do this. You know what I'm saying? That we needed to.
Yeah. No, I'm glad
do
we're doing it. There's so many things. I don't like. I could take us down so many things, man. And you don't want to. It's not about graphic and whatnot, but there's so many things like that you don't realize that are going to create things in your person. I didn't know with me. I think was some issues. I didn't even realize they were going on, but till you have a meltdown of any sort, and then things come out, But I'll never forget. It was early in that day, for day one, when the planes hit. I told you I was trying to get through to my brother immediately. I knew he was right there because I had been with him on that job in that building for a month or two. I was working down there, doing a lot of things down there, but I was down there, right? And 140 West Street, Mike, is very close. It's maybe on the other side of that pile, But my brother also, in this picture here, you see a ground rescue, where workers there. We're not rescue workers. I don't know what you would call us. We're just workers down here. We're workers.
Ground zero workers, man. You're
we're ground zero workers.
Everything.
Right. So in that picture, we're ground zero workers, and that again, I tell you that's early on. But my brother was on a construction site, which was right there. But the day that happened, I'm trying to call him to see if he's okay, his crew's okay. I didn't know.
Right.
And finally, I get through to him. But what I didn't tell you is, I'm on the phone with him, and we're going over. I'm to tell him I'm heading to Queens. What I didn't say is, I'm going to tell you, he called me Craig. A lot of people that know me a long time. Craig, whatever, New York thing, whatever. And he says, Craig, hold on a minute. And I hear him talking to one of his partners. He's going, what the hell is that? What is that? What is that? And he gets on with me, goes, I hear my brother going, oh my, he was not, I don't want to say tough. I just want to say he's somebody that things didn't surprise him. Let's put it that way.
Sure.
And I hear him going, oh my God, Craig, I gotta go. You don't want. I go, well, Joey, what's going on? He goes, oh my God, they're jumping. Oh man, I can't tell you.
Man.
Wow.
Man.
And I got my brother who's, and I hear him.
Yeah.
Like screaming, like, oh, these people are jumping, man. Yeah. And they're landing, crazy.
And he's right there seeing this, man. I mean,
yeah, because you could look up, like, you could imagine a building of that stature that's that high. You don't even have to be that close. You could be a block away, 2 blocks away, 5 blocks away. Look up, and it's going to look like it's right on top of you. In this case, they were there. They were right not far. And again, I was there. I know it. And then you have that. So before we even got there, day one, trying to help rescue and whatever we were doing, clean, right away. We already had a picture in our head of what went on before we got there in the evening. Walking before we even got on the pile, walking the area. We got to walk the devastation before we even started with a shovel and working. Walking around looking, and that's where I told you the visuals of the soot and the shoes, the pictures and the teddy bears and the notes, the letters. God knows where these flew out of what offices and who, and if those people. So it's going through your mind. They make it, didn't they? Then you're with people, and I'll never forget. I'm with a federal agent. He's walking, I'm walking, we're walking, and I told you, everybody became one. It was like a team now.
One team at that point. It has nothing to do with everything else, right?
And he's telling me, he said, yeah, one of my buddies was NYPD. I said, oh, he says, and he didn't make it. I said, oh, I'm sorry to hear that, At this point, I didn't know how many friends I lost, I didn't know.
Yeah.
I didn't know who was down there yet at that point, And he's telling us, he said, yeah, he was running. And they knew this because the person that made it told him they were running, and he couldn't make it. Really, he couldn't. He was, Mike. Who knows? He couldn't run at all.
Sure, man.
The person's trying to run with him.
Right.
Yeah. And the person is just running. They got the cop by the hand, the arm. It's just running. As a woman, I believe. Yeah, it was. And gets out of the smoke, gets out of the dust, and turns around, and all she's got is the arm in her hand. Yeah, and I know it's listen, man. As I talk about it, I'm there. It's crazy, it's a lot of years, man. 24 years, and I can almost hear that ghost town again, but yet nothing's being said, and it's a ghost town, yet so much is being said. The shock look on everybody's face. I told my wife this week, because I guess sometimes she'll bring it up. Well, nobody likes to bring it up, but not that I was fragile with it. It just, people were looking out for me and all. It's not just me. It's went on, I guess, for a lot. Maybe it didn't. People just looked out after a while. They were close to you and said, but maybe he's going through something, whatever. But like my wife, she would, she tried, she's very confident that way. And, I was quick to say, I'm good.
Sure.
But, what started to happen was they started to say to us, this is probably a few weeks in, they were starting to make us go to make sure our lungs were okay. It was maybe a month down the road. Mm-hmm. And now, not knowing, I'm bringing home all those clothes every night, or when I came home 2-3 days later, whatever it was, especially at the beginning, full of soot, she's pregnant. You know what I mean? And you don't realize, because you're not thinking of that stuff, and nobody was, and then nobody at home is saying don't come home dirty, nobody was, but it was always so much that you carried after the fact. Am I going to get sick? You're not thinking of it then. Am I going to get the lung cancer? Because we knew people, that were with us. Same, they weren't no different than me. They were on a pile with us, and they worked 3 longer, shorter, whatever. Who got sick and didn't make it, and I'm still here.
Yeah, man. It was the PTSD, man, that all the people there have dealt with that didn't deal with it. They just lived through it and didn't really deal with it. Then the health issues too, man.
I'll give you a couple of things. I'm one of those guys. I'm good. Oh, I'm gonna give you a couple. I'm in One Liberty Plaza. It's a building there. One Liberty Plaza. Those that know it knows where it is, how close it was to the towers. It's on Liberty Street. That's what I call it, One Liberty Plaza. Well, One Liberty Plaza was a building that they weren't sure. They thought it was going to come down, but it took on a lot of damage, and they thought it was tilted somewhat. So a lot of the buildings there, Mike, there were a lot of high rises, tons of high rises that had damage, and they weren't sure if they were going to have to implode them or they could be fixed. So we're down there right away, Mikey. We have no idea. We all understood this full well. We're doing all of this cleanup, trying to, whatever we're doing down there, and you have no idea if any of these buildings that are standing are going to topple on you. You understand that going in. Look, it is what it is. Now, you're not saying, you're aware of it, but you don't understand. You're just doing it. You're working. You know what I mean? But so I was with some structural engineers. So, and everybody know this, we had like emergency plans set up. So there was times where we had a lot of our guys Well, in these sub-basements, Mikey, you could imagine the oil, these boiler rooms blew up. The building, you had oil, asbestos, everything in these buildings had to be cleaned up for the ones that made it. You know what I mean? That didn't, just crush. So they had sensors set up on this one particular building, One Liberty Plaza. I'm going to guess Liberty Plaza was 80-story building, a huge lobby, promenade, huge. I'll never forget, they had sensors set up. So if we hear alarms, we knew what the alarms were. Whatever you're doing, drop it, get out, and go. No matter where you're working, run. And they would tell you which way to go. And don't hesitate. Well, it's a Saturday morning. My brother Joey's got a crew not far from where I am. And I got probably 200 guys we got in these basements doing oil. It was a disaster. Again, oil, everything all over the place.
Most people never hear that stuff, Craig.
Right. And what people need to I'm trying to explain here is you could tell people all you want, the do's, the don'ts, and this, but you're dealing with stuff like this. Somebody lights a match to light a cigarette because they're stressed out, not thinking. And what do you have? Kaboom. There's a lot of gas leaks that people didn't know about, and then didn't know about. You had all these warnings and danger and all of that. But if you're somebody that hasn't slept in a few days because you've been down there, and one mistake can kill hundreds of people that are cleaning up or trying to help, right? And it could be anybody that does this, right? So these sirens start going off, and for some reason it didn't register. But you start to see people running. I'm like, what's going on? They're like, so, all right, go. Army personnel, fire department, they're screaming at us, go, get out. My brother Joey, I see him. There's crowds of people, but I told you he was close. So it just happened to be that day. We didn't always work near each other.
Is that right?
So he grabs me like I'm his brother still. He grabs me, goes, come on. We get maybe 20 feet. I don't even know what it was. He says, Craig, you got your guys down there, right? I go, Joey, all my guys are in the basement. They're not responding to radios, and we're told to drop everything and go. Go, you got to go. Right. Mikey, we got fire department, every personnel you could imagine screaming, go. My brother's screaming, I ain't going nowhere. His guys are down there. They're not responding to the radios. They're not coming up. I look at my brother. My brother looks at me. Mike, I'm not going to just keep it where it is. The father part of me, the coward part of me, whatever it is, that I didn't know I had, is thinking, I got to go. Because they're screaming, everybody making it easy for me to leave.
Yeah.
My brother looks at me. He says, we're getting you, man. Like, no hesitation. It wasn't like that calm like that.
Right.
No hesitation. Right down. Get their attention. Get screaming, go. Everybody's running. Well, it turned out to be a false alarm. But let me just explain to you about that false alarm. What goes on in that 8 minutes, whatever it took, of sheer panic, adrenaline, whatever you want to call it. There's not too many of those things you want to go through every day that your heart can take.
Right. People don't think of that, man. It's much stress on your body, your heart, everything else.
I'm going to make you laugh about this part. I ran into an old friend of mine in that evacuation, Mickey McCutcheon. Mickey, if you hear this, you're going to remember it. Mickey, funny guy, football coach, long time in the neighborhood, painter with the Painters Union, good guy. We're running. We're running. Everybody's running. Fire department, cops. When you see SWAT, fire department, everybody running, you go. Yeah. We had to get these guys out. It took seconds, but we got them out. We're running, and you just, Mike, thousands of people just running, and all this is dust and soot, like I told you. My buddy Mickey, who's from my neighborhood, a lot of construction workers. He's coming out of a park. I can laugh about that. The Porta Johns.
Yeah. They're like a Yeah, like
So,
a porter potty. That's what they call them.
my man's running with his pants down. He can't run. He was in the John, bro.
Yeah.
He couldn't even he didn't even try to get his pants up.
He was out. Oh,
Hell no.
man.
That's a
Yeah.
fact.
Yeah.
I can laugh about that now. We're laughing
Of
about
course. Of course. Yeah. I mean, it's
Yeah,
but
but
yeah.
things like this went on, and
Sure, man.
I'll never forget being in that building. I think it was Liberty Plaza too, and the same building. Well, it was similar to that, and I'm with another business agent, and we're with engineers, all sorts of big shots, heavyweights, that are whether in law enforcement, construction, whatever, and they're going over how they want to attack this building with cleanup. It was another huge building, like Mike. We're in the lobby. It's one of these buildings where the lobby goes all the way up to like the 6th floor before they call it a number. You know what I mean? It was huge, 80 foot, 100 foot to the ceiling. It was huge. And out of nowhere, Mike, talk about adding up. Grabbed my partner, John. This wasn't Johnny Rodriguez at that time. It was another guy, Johnny Keene. I grab him and I tell him, come on, we got to go to the building. I thought the building was coming down. Yeah. It was adding up and I didn't know, it was messing with me. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It was adding up. I'm sitting in my mother's house. And my wife would tell you these things. Months after. I'm sitting in that chair that I told you about. I'm watching out the window. For whatever reason, I'm daydreaming. It's nighttime. And, the plane, like I told you, like they always landed.
Yeah, you seen them go. Yeah.
I threw myself on the floor and told everybody the plane was coming through the window. Freaking out.
No, man, post-traumatic stress syndrome.
At that point, I had lost it, without fully. It was like that moment that, and shortly after that, I knew,
it had affected you like
things,
that.
it really taken its toll on me. When I lost Tommy Casoria, rest in peace. Sergio Villanueva, rest in peace. Mikey Weinberg, rest in peace. Charlie LaCania, rest in peace. Mike Murphy, rest in peace. Joey Ferris, rest in peace. These guys I all knew. Can't tell you relationships. Softball, kids, football, neighborhood, grew up with.
Yeah.
You don't know about it until you hear days later, weeks later, hey, they haven't heard from this one, or he was last seen going in.
Jeez.
How many benefits, tributes, prayer vigils we went to, before people were starting to be named, gone, officially. Brutal.
Yeah.
And you're going through it, man. You're going through it, and you're just blowing it all. You're just like, hey, listen, man, it's whatever reason we weren't there, whatever, and we're here, and I guess we weren't supposed to be there. And but there's so many things that go on, there's so many things, and I'm sure we're going to be done with this, and I'm going to say, oh my God, I forgot to tell them about this, that, but I wanted to try to.
It's just so much trauma and loss at one time, man.
I want to take it at
to have to process. You know what I'm saying? I mean, did people?
I don't know if I told you anything today that you didn't know, but maybe you knew everything.
No,
today.
No, not at all, man. And
I hope I took you there a little bit. Not that you want to be. You know what I mean? I hope I was able to give you my mindset anyway, or some things that crazy.
I think it's amazing to hear it from someone who was there, someone that was at ground zero, that saw one plane going through like that, that was flying over right before it hit. Your brother being across the street, seeing this actually happen. And so, Craig, I mean, health-wise, how have you had any issues that you've?
My name is on all of those. Yeah, Mikey, my name is on all those things. I went through things, not knowing, I never had, I'm an open book, Mike. I never had let's put it this way, since that 24 years, that horrific freaking time I can't smell anymore. I mean, it's a little thing, right?
Yeah.
I can taste. There's times I don't taste well anymore. I always talk about food, but a lot of times my wife will say to me, "You smell there's a gas leak, or you smell this."
Oh,
That's fine, and I'm just using that,
yeah. That's
You know,
dangerous, man. People don't even
freaking
think of that.
went to the bathroom. Yeah, I don't know. I'm smelling, you know what I mean? I'm just,
Yeah, right.
yeah, it's things
Yeah, man.
I don't smell the gravy and macaroni anymore,
Oh,
or the
man.
sauce, Mikey. Yeah, so I'm really pissed for that.
Yeah,
but,
you got out of everything. Huh? Nah,
and
man,
there's some days I can smell Clorox, but for the most part, I don't smell anymore. That's a minor thing, but you're just asking me.
still.
Do I? There was things I went through again that I didn't, the PTSD part. Okay, told you I had I brought some problems on myself and my family because of the behavior. Didn't know I was. I don't say I didn't know. That's a weak excuse. I was drinking a little bit more than I should have, and I'm not somebody, Mike, that drank per se daily. I didn't. When I say I was drinking, if I drank, I had to close the place. You understand?
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah.
If I drank, I drank. So I had an episode where I drank. I was never a guy that drank and got nasty. Well, not only was I bad behavior-wise that way, I blacked out. So it led to confrontation with somebody. It led to me throwing something through his store window and blaming, from what I was told, I blamed him and his brothers for 9/11. I was blaming people.
Sure.
Without for the smallest drop of a dime, I was looking to grab onto some and use that.
Right.
So it's a cop out, But there was some things that reared its ugly head. I became even more carefree. When I say more carefree, I've always been somebody that respect everybody. But I'm never going to, was never going to be somebody that wouldn't voice my opinion if asked, or if I didn't like something and I felt I needed to say something, I would always say. So I was somebody that would always voice my opinion if asked, or if I needed to say something, Well, I became somebody that had a lot to say. And that really wasn't me, and I was willing to go real far with things that was causing a lot of issues. And who was I really causing issues for? Myself.
Yeah.
So I was bringing all of this stuff down, and I was, So yeah, and then there was, other things, psych medications and stuff like that. They wanted to pump me up on all these medicines. Brutal. Yeah. And again, I'm not saying it's because of that, but it was after that.
Man, yeah. Well, of course, it had to be an effect of that. It had to be
an effect. Up on stuff that, Mikey, I was a freaking zombie. Mm-hmm. I had no purpose. Not even know I was in the room myself, and I'm just saying after that, they would, they would pump everybody on vacations, the worst things in the world, and again, it is what it is, but I, through a lot of different help, and really it was family, people that truly, it's not always old family, it's just the ones that truly care,
sure,
and put up with you daily, no matter who you are. You sit down and say, all right, let's do this. You want to get better, you want to get better. So, but yeah, I mean, man, there's so many things, I could keep you here for months. I don't want to do that. I just was trying to take you through what my day was like, what my time was like. I went on and worked there about 3 full straight months, Mike, day in, day out. My brother Joey was there from the beginning to the end, as long as it was. I would go back there from time to time. I got pulled off of that detail after a while. went else to all the, I would go back down there from time to time, but then I wind up having some other issues. Take, you know, I get involved with some other issues from previous years that they came knocking. You understand, bud?
Yeah.
So it was a lot of things happening at once. My wife is 6 months pregnant. She would go on to have my little guy, my big guy, the youngest.
Big boy now, right?
Antonio and Vinny, we didn't have enough time. I was going to have them come on. They would have told you what it was like when I took them out of school and stuff like that. Elizabeth, you know.
Right.
Catherine won't come on camera, but she would have told you about what it was like, maybe dealing with some things, and me coming home 3 days. You know, she dealt with me in another aspect, never coming home. Now I'm down 9/11, and you know, I was all in anything I did. I wore it. You know, Mike, I wore it.
Yeah.
I wore that. I missed my friend. I love my friends. I love them. Like, you know, we didn't see a lot of those guys I mentioned. I hadn't seen for a while. Some of them I saw often. You know.
So much loss and trauma, man.
You know, I'm one guy. Right. There's so many people that have so much to say.
That's the thing, man.
I tell you what I, you know me.
Yeah, no. Listen, man. The stuff you said, Craig, and described is stuff that's unique to you and your experience. And man, I appreciate you sharing that with everybody,
absolutely,
man. People. And
yeah. Next one we'll be joking around.
Yeah, we will.
This is serious. Yeah, no, I'm glad you.
This is what people need to hear, though, man. I don't think everybody gets to hear, because, Greg, some people don't have the opportunity to come on and talk about it. Some people just won't. And you telling your experience and what happened, I think is something that a lot of people would want to hear what happened.
I don't want to hold them. Yeah, man, you need to get this stuff out of so.
Yeah, man. Is there anything else you want to say on it before?
I just,
I'll stay here all day with you, bro.
No, I'm good. I just want to say I wish they would, honor so many kids that were raised without a mother or father because of this. Yeah. So many children lost a mother and father shortly after that because they got sick.
Yes.
I wish they would honor it. What do I know? I just say make it a holiday, give everybody a day off. I'm 24 years removed from this, and I could tell you, Mikey, you know, we talked about this. I never served our country in any way. But I got to tell you, this particular day, 24 years later, I didn't serve anything. We do what we do. You know, if you were in New York City, Mike, there's not a question in my mind you would have been there with us. Sure. You understand? If this, God forbid, would have happened in Houston, you would have been there. That's who you are. You know what I mean? So, and it was what we did. It's what we knew, construction. So it's not like we did anything heroic. No, that's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is it lived with you. And it was our way, whoever got down there was able to volunteer for as long as we were, and then wind up being there. In my case, I wound up staying down there. And like many construction workers, you felt obligated to do it and want to do it. You wanted to be there. Yeah. 24 years later, I'm still sick about that day. I'm still sick that this happened here. Yeah. Hated it. It's like a war zone, Mikey. It was, Manhattan was it looked like we got hit with I don't know what it's like to get hit with a bomb. It looks like we were bombed, man, the whole country. Yeah. It was a war zone.
Well, Greg, what I'll say is, man, you're saying you didn't serve and everything, but this is the one thing I will counter with you. I think you did serve, and I think the reason is you didn't have to go down there. You could have stayed home. You could have just said, hey, I'm not going down there to help. I'm not doing. You chose to go down there and do that, and you did serve by doing that. So I have to disagree with you on that one, man. I really do. You went down there and did something that everybody didn't do. You know how many people didn't do that? You know how many people ran and went the other way, and you turned around and had to go back and had to fight your way to get in there? They didn't just say, hey, come in that day. So you went out of your way to go down there and help, and I would say you did serve and you did volunteer at a time when your city and country needed it the most, man. So I thank you for going down there, and I thank everyone else that went down there. You know, your brother and everyone else. And you know what, Craig? We
Thanks,
for this show.
You know, that picture's hard to look at. That
I
picture's
know
hard to
it
look
is,
at.
man. I know it is, man. And so,
But thanks. Thank you.
for this show, Bo. We dedicate this show
Thanks, man.
in memory of your brother.
Thanks,
and
Bo.
all the other guys, man, that went down there, and the people that didn't make it. And like I said, 100% for your brother, man. And
Absolutely.
you guys down there volunteering and working at that time when people weren't doing that, man. So, you know, in memory of your brother, man, 100%. Man.
Thanks, bud.
Hey, appreciate you, Greg, man. Taking
I love
the
you,
time.
man.
Love you
You
too,
got
Bo.
it.
Yeah.
I hope.
Yeah,
Thank
for
you.
sure.
I hope. Whatever, man. I hope.
Yeah.
If anybody's felt anything of what I felt, or even somebody like you, just it bothering you watching, and maybe you didn't get a chance to talk to anybody that was in it. You know what I mean? And your friend was there for whatever. You know.
Right.
That's all.
Yeah.
All right. I love you,
Means
man.
the world,
Be
man.
well.
Love you, buddy. Means the world,
All right.
man. Thank
Thank
you,
you, man.
everybody, for watching.
It's helped me too, Mike. It helped me too. Thank you.
Good, man. That's good.
Thanks,
Man.
bro.
Thank you, everybody,
All right.
for watching.
Peace
Keep
from
all
it.
these people in your prayers.
And
always
listen,
remember.
and now I could go back to myself. First of all, thank you for watching. Buy a mug. Buy a mug. I love you.
This man
I'll
still
talk to you later.
Everybody, man. Peace.
Be good, bro.